And welcome to the Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. It is the last Thursday. I knew you would enjoy that. The last Thursday of the Midday Show 1 point. What do you think we're on? Like 1.7?
I don't know.
Probably
I actually had someone
1.7.
ask me, like, what is going to go on? I was like, yeah, there may be some changes. They might not be all that big. I don't know. And like when you're surely dramatizing.
Says the person who's not behind the scenes working on all of it.
Well, I know you've kicked around some ideas, and I know they're starting Monday. We haven't finalized them, but I do know, yes, there'll be some changes, but there were talks about other changes. I don't know what's coming, but
it's the last Thursday. It'll never be like this again. This is the last Thursday. I have to beg people, and I'm gonna do the best I can. I'm gonna be as polite as I can. I'm going to beg people to please stop posting on any national blank day. PA polling, most recent polls were out. We're going to dive into that. You have an interesting story possibly about Mastriano as well. So just some PA stuff heading into the elections. And then Tom Hanks has kind of social media buzz trying to figure out what are the 4 pretty good movies that he's referring to. Mark claims he knows the 4 pretty good movies that Tom Hanks is referring to. So we'll have some fun at the end of the show with that. Before we get to all of these things, Mark, how are you feeling today?
Well, since it's the last Thursday, I feel like time's running out.
I can't promise you that question will be a part of the Midday Show 2.0.
We may make super changes. I feel good today. I'm proud, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Maybe I'm the only person that has ever been proud of this.
Okay.
When you go, I got to get my car inspected.
All right.
It may or may not have been due a previous month. But anyway, be that as it may.
Yes.
So my car is in the shop right now getting inspected.
Okay.
When you get your car inspected, you need registration proof of insurance.
Okay.
Do you ever have any trouble locating your registration and proof of insurance when you take your car?
Very, very, very rarely. I almost always have it right there. It's in a nice little divider. But some of that's my dad's thing. He kind of like ingrained that into me. So like it's always where it's supposed to be.
Well, because it shows up in the mail.
Yes.
It's in an envelope on the kitchen table or the dining room table or a hutch or something like that.
Right.
And all it has to do is get from there to like the glove box or the
Yes.
center console. It's not that hard.
No, it isn't.
It was always an adventure for me. And I would go through, I would find old insurance cards because some of them, they say they're only good for 8 months or 6 months or whatever. And then, so about 45, I got a Ziploc bag. And I'm like, I'm just going to put them in. Yeah. And every time I'm just going to, which worked really well sometimes, but then sometimes it still doesn't make its way from the kitchen to the car.
Okay.
And I'm like, I saw it. It's here somewhere. I don't know what happened. And
do you throw out the old ones?
Sometimes.
I have people in my life, I won't say any names, that I have dropped off vehicles for, and they don't throw out the old ones, and it is a train wreck.
Well, I've had that issue too.
Okay.
So today, when I didn't even look last night, I knew the car was going in. I got in the car. I kind of did the there's the Ziploc bag.
Okay.
And they were there.
Congratulations.
And I felt so
accomplished.
I did. Yes. I felt so accomplished.
I'm happy for you.
It is because I have been that train wreck person.
Okay.
That like you pull one out. Nope, that's the old one. You pull no, that's expired. Oh, that one's from 4 years ago.
Yes.
And then I have been that person.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in other places in the glove compartment or the center console, I'm still not that person. But in the Ziploc bag, the up-to-date ones were right where they were supposed to be.
Yeah. No, my dad drilled that into me like from the get-go. You have your little divider. You take the old one out, put the new one in. You toss the old one. He like has that drilled in.
It's funny. I bet you could sit with a group of 10 people. Mm-hmm. You know, both men and women, and like, what is something that like you have from your parents that we talked about taking shoes off when you walk in the house?
Yeah,
you know, things like that.
No soda before noon.
No soda before noon was one in ours too, even though I broke it today because we started eating lunch a little early. Yeah. My mom with laundry. Like I was taught to do laundry before I went to college by my mother.
Okay.
And it was about whites.
Do you mix your whites and colors?
Whites and darks and color? No.
No. You keep them to this day. Still keep them separate.
There's only one way to do laundry, and it's the way my mom taught me.
You know nothing happens, right?
What?
You know nothing happens, right?
On cold and on things like that. It can.
Okay.
It can bleed.
Yeah. but he usually does it.
Okay, though.
Yeah, but he usually does it.
See, you would be my ex was like that. My
Yeah.
ex threw everything in one.
Yes.
She was a lazy laundry person like you, not me.
Yes.
Not me. I am.
No, lazy laundry.
I sort it like my mommy taught me.
I'm actually proud of you because I do not. I think my mom sorts it, but it's particular. Like it's not like everything has to be. It's just like certain. If it's a nicer shirt, there's like a nice white pile. I'm pretty sure.
I understand. Do you hang everything?
No. Like
let me rephrase that.
To dry it?
Do you hang anything?
To dry?
Yes.
No, but I'm also like, this is my, like, I'm not wearing.
Aren't you afraid it'll shrink?
From what?
From the dryer.
No. You just stretch it back out. I don't understand. Like,
you take your shirts, and is that what you do?
I mean, if we're going to really go down this rabbit hole, almost every time I put on a shirt, once it is over my head and I am like this, I will keep them there. And as the shirt slides down, I will go like this and kind of do like a 180 like stretch of the shirt. And
really?
Yep. And then I will put my arms through the holes. I do that almost every single time I put on.
Then that's just a
hoodie or a shirt or like any of that.
Like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Some of it though is I'm built weird. Like my shoulders are bizarrely like hiked up. So in most shirts, like if I wear a large, my shoulders are like an extra large. And then lengthwise, I'm like a small.
Your shoulders aren't bizarrely hiked.
No, they are. Like if we went like t-shirt shopping, you would see it. Like it's weird. Like where the seams land. Like most people, their seams land on the outside right here. Right? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Right? Like when I put on like the size shirt that fits me lengthwise, my seams end up like up here. Like it's a very weird.
Look pretty normal.
I'm not good at shopping. I'm very bad at it.
Right.
National days. Here's my spiel. Anybody who is on social media in the last week or so, in case you didn't know, it was National Daughters Day. In case you didn't know, it was National Sons Day. The only way that
you know now.
Yeah, the only way you don't know this is if you just do not get on social media for the last 7 days. There's also a whole bunch. There's National Pet Day. There's National Dogs Day. There's National Parents Day. There's National Grandparents Day. I mean, I could go on and on and on forever and ever. Here's my thing. You and I have talked a lot about posting on social media and kind of like the etiquette of it all. Why are you posting? Who are you posting for? The debate goes back and forth. I don't have any issue with like individually, like on a birthday. If you want to post on your son or daughter's birthday, it's their day. They get one day out of 365 days a year. By all means, go for it. The national days, there's so many ways to go with this. First of all this is like commercialized Christmas. This is like commercialized Easter. All they're doing is trying to get you to post something on their platform. That's it. These national days are not actually benefiting anybody. Nobody.
Well, okay.
The only people, you know who reminds you that you know why you know it's National Whatever Day? Because your social media platform makes sure that you know it's National Whatever Day, so you better post something, because otherwise you might not post anything today.
I mean, does Facebook care?
Oh, if you post or not? That's their whole business.
But they have so much money.
It doesn't matter.
Do they need National Son and Daughter Day?
They do.
They need to space them out then. Can we do that?
Listen.
Weren't they back to back?
Space them out. Tomorrow's National Pet Day. Like, you can't space them out. There's no room. And then the day after that's going to be National Ant Day. Post your favorite ant. And after, you can't space them out. There's something every day.
I am proud to say I did not. I have a son and 2 daughters, and I did not post on National Son or Daughter Day. Because I'm agreeing with you. I thought it was stupid.
Before social media, how many national days were there?
It's a good question. I post on my kids' birthdays, usually.
But those aren't national days.
No, and I post on Mother's Day, Father's Day.
Yes.
That's probably it.
Yeah. Do you know why the national days exist now? Because we have social media.
No, I get it. It's
the
modern version of the Hallmark holiday.
Absolutely. It's the modern holiday Hallmark card.
Correct.
We have this holiday, so come and buy this holiday card. For social media, it's this national thing. So make sure you come on the app today and post this photo. You're just feeding into the algorithm of these apps.
I get it. But at the same point, because you're saying it doesn't help anyone, like, again, and this is the guy who didn't post on either of them. And I saw, I don't know, 1,000 of them.
It was all
It was
all
everywhere.
I saw.
But don't you think that there is a feel good,
Is there?
there is a value to it, to the people, to, hey, this is a picture of me. Hey, I love my kids. I don't.
For who?
Because
You and I talk about this a lot. When you're posting on social media, who is it for?
No, I get it. That's a valid point, and it depends who it's going to, but or not going to, who it's intended for, what your underlying cause is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with so much of society, and we've talked about parents, telling their kids they love them, and it's kids telling their parents they love them, and we can do a lot of things through text or through type or through social media that we don't do well to actually verbalize in person. I am guessing that my generation is much better now at Mother's Day and Father's Day doing it this way than to go up to your parents and say, hey, I love you. And this is just another way that parents can express their love for their kids, when not a lot of parents aren't good at, I shouldn't say a lot. There is a certain percentage of people who aren't good at saying I love you, and this gives them a better way to do it.
Just to clarify, I am talking about every national day.
Like,
I would feel the same way if yesterday was National Pet Day. I would be like, why are we
There
doing
was one
this?
the other day that was fun, and I was upset that we missed it. And it was something like National Cheesesteak Day or something.
Sure.
And we should have hit it. But I get your point.
This is the crazy part too. 95% of the posts that I see, I know these people are good parents who love their kids. Like, I know these are good pet owners who love their pets, or good grandchildren who love their who are you trying to convince? I already believe you. I believed you before the post.
You had me at hello.
I knew you loved your kid before the post. I don't know. Like, I knew you loved your pet dog before.
No, I get it.
And here's my thing too. If you post your kid on a random Tuesday, and you're like, got ice cream today, and it's like the kid scooping on, adorable, heart, all for it. The manufactureness, is that even a word?
If it's not, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, the way that this is manufactured, and it's just it's National Sunday, I gotta put this thing up, or it's National Ice Cream Day. I don't know. To me, it feels like we're all being played. In this idea, I think most people feel like they have to do it, half strong. I feel like if they don't, and they're the only one in their group of friends, or they feel like they're the only one on the feed who doesn't post it, people will they'll forget that I'm a good parent, which is absurd. Again, if I know you and you post it on your social media for National Daughter Day or National Sunday, I already know you're a good parent. I know it. I know you care. I know you love your kids. Everything's good.
Let's clarify.
You don't need to post.
There are lots of people.
You don't need to post.
There are lots of people who love their kids who are mediocre parents. Parents make a lot of bad decisions.
You and I talked about this though. If they're trying, I'm cool with it.
No, I'm with you. I'm kind of to the other end. When I saw it, I wasn't even. There was a part of me that was just lazy about I'm not really going to go out of my way. But there's another part of me that agrees with you, this is stupid, and I'm kind of making my own stand. I'm not doing it because I think it's so stupid.
And I will also say this before we read through these comments. I am aware I am in the minority here. I know that I get, for some people it's fun. It's an extra day to post something about something you really care about, right? And so I get that aspect of it. The reasoning behind it, the manufactured, I think the guilt that people feel if they don't, all of those things.
The peer pressure is immense.
Those are the things that I dislike. I don't dislike your kid. I don't dislike you. I dislike all the reasons behind why it's happening.
Well, I think, and I'll say this too. I think most of the people, it's fun while they do it. I think there are a lot of people who genuinely
Mhm.
enjoy scrolling through it. We're not them. But
Okay.
I think too that it helps because some people are very creative and some people aren't.
Okay.
And it just, I don't want to say it's a paint by numbers,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, here, you don't have anything to post today. You don't have anything fun. Here's something to post today. Post a picture of your dog. Post a picture of
Yes.
your kid. And it's that.
The one thing that you've brought up to me is, I agree with you, is there is a negative concept to social media. And without a doubt, this certainly adds a positivity to your feed.
Mhm.
And so that is a part. If someone made that argument to me, I have no argument against that. It's a very, very valid point and worthwhile. A couple of things. Lisa says, I think it's a positive to make a celebration out of each day. Any little light we can get these days, which is fair. I think that's kind of the point I just said.
Yes.
So very, very fair point, Lisa. Lori brought up a good point too. I work in the nursing home and we celebrate national days all the time, like planning an ice cream social on National Ice Cream Day. Also, it's better to post on national days than all the ads. It's better to see pictures of pets and kids instead of ads. All very valid points. I do not disagree with these things. So if that's the case, I just hope I see as many daughters and sons next Wednesday when it's not National Daughters or National Sons Day. Take a picture of your kid playing in the yard on the last nice fall day. Take a picture of them throwing leaves in the air, whatever it might be. I just want, let's continue doing it then. Let's not need the National Day to add the positivity to our feeds. Is that fair?
I just got a text.
Fair enough.
I just got a text from a friend that said, "Is Jeff just mad that his parents didn't post pics of him on National Sunday?"
The opposite. It's the opposite.
I think that person is onto something.
You think so?
Yes.
Do
you are bitter.
Let me ask you
Did
this.
they post? I just need one more question.
No, of course
Did they
not.
post pictures of your sister on National Day?
Of course, they didn't post pictures of either of us.
Okay. Because we have agreed that they love her more.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
There is I've said before, I think I'm very thankful that my parents didn't have social media, because I think it's an added stress or pressure to parenting, which again is kind of my argument here. My argument isn't against the positivity. My argument isn't that people fake love their kids. My argument is just I do think there are people that felt like they had to post yesterday. And that's why I said next week, let's do it again without the national, we don't need the National Day.
I will say this, I'm with you. There's a lot of me that's with you, and again, that's why I didn't post. I don't want to say there's a value, but for me, as scrolling through, and you're like, wow, I can't believe her kid's that old. I can't believe that kid is this. Mm-hmm. And look at how, oh my gosh, I haven't seen a picture. I coached that kid in Little League. And so there are a lot of them, because I think we all have a lot of Facebook friends now. We have Facebook friends. We don't even know who they are. They're just friends with these people, and we accept them. So there's a lot of them we scroll through and we don't care.
Yes.
But then there's a lot of other ones that we're like, even if it's only like a 3-second moment of intrigue, that I know a couple of them that I saw the kid and I said, holy cow, he's tall.
Sure.
And I get it. So I get your whole concept. It shouldn't be. It's the same as Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't.
I shouldn't have to go out and buy.
You shouldn't have to. The calendar shouldn't have to tell your significant other that you love them on this day, especially on a day that was based after a massacre somewhere. The same Valentine's Day, bloody whatever. Yeah. But be that as it may. But I'm with you. There's a lot when I'm scrolling and I'm just like, oh my God, get me something. But maybe I need a better way to entertain myself than just scrolling through Facebook.
The other dynamic, and then I promise I'll shut up about this. The other dynamic about this that I try to wrap my head around, and I just can't, is when they address it to the kid. And so they're it'll be Bobby, we love you so much. You're the apple of my eye. Da-da-da-da. And it's basically we love you, mom and dad, or I love you, mom. And they're addressing it to the kid, but it is for everybody to see. So essentially it's they're writing inside of a card, but it's not actually getting sent to the person that the card is for. It is for this public consumption that is not I'm not implying it's wrong. I'm just implying that like I see it and I'm kind of like, did you like that wasn't directed for me? Like it wasn't directed for the mass consumption, but you posted it like it was, and it's like, I don't know.
There is as a parent who does that on kids' birthdays and things like that. I personally, I've always felt that there's.
How old were they when you started doing it?
Oh, I don't. Okay. My son's still not on Facebook. He's 16. My oldest is 21, who looks at Facebook, I think, probably like once a quarter.
So who are you posting it for? Like when you address it to them,
it's just kind of like
when you address it to them, who are you actually like? Because you know it's not to them.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, my dialogue is directed to the audience.
Right.
It's not directed to the kid. But there is, this is gonna sound unbelievably corny. There's something about publicly professing your love.
Totally.
Whether it's now, we usually talk about it to a significant other and not to our kids and our parents. But there is.
If you get on, this is
after I post about my kids, I feel good about it.
I don't disagree with that at all, and I get that. I think there's this idea of the public, like profession, like the public announcement. So like going to the top of the hill and screaming, "I love so and so." I'm like, oh yeah, they want everybody to know. If you go up to the mountaintop and you're just like, Sally, you mean so much to me, and like that's to Sally. Like that's not for the top of the mountain. Like you're telling, and Sally's not here. Like Sally is not part of my algorithm. That's the part that I try to wrap my head around.
No, I get it. And with kids, and your parents, it's obvious because there's that unconditional love that. But like it was, and we just talked about it. Did you see Crawdads?
You brought it up. I have not.
Okay, I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, don't give it away. I might be too heartless to watch it. Is what I'm finding out.
No, you know what I'm curious about, because, and this is a 30-second tangent. It's out on DVD already.
Yeah.
I watched what's it called? I just call it Crawdads. Where the Crawdads Sing.
Sure.
I think it's called what. And I know it's a book. And I talked to Carrie about it. I said, "Have you seen it?" She said, "I read the book." And I'd heard it's just great. It's this greatest thing ever. And when I saw it, I thought it was good. And to me, I'm afraid it has fallen into. It happened to me with Superbad. It happened to me with Bridesmaids.
Okay.
That the hype was so much that by the time I saw it, I was like, I think it's a little formulaic. I think it was a little predictable. I think it was good.
So what are you trying to say?
That was just a tangent. There was a comparison I wanted to make of what we're talking about to something that happened in the movie. But I know the movie's so fresh that a lot of people didn't see it, so I won't say it.
Okay.
I don't want to do any kind of spoiler, because I think you should see it. I think it's good.
And I just want everyone to know, even though I will not be included in Ryan's National Family Day post, Ryan is in a photo with me and my girlfriend, just the three of us, that is being prepped to be hung up on the wall in our house. And to me, that's worth more than any National Family Day post. But not that we're competing here, not that we're competing or anything like that. But there you go.
No, but I agree. Somebody said it, I think, back, that there's a lot of social media brings out the best and worst.
Yes.
And there's certainly there are people that I know that every time they post, they are going to complain about either the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, depending on what side they are. So when at any time that these are all consistently happy, and maybe they get gooey and annoying and bog things up and stuff like that, and I get that. I think probably underneath it all. Not even underneath it all. You basically said it. Your point is that people should make sure, even though you're posting on these days, be better than this, and just don't do it once a year.
I mean, that's one argument, because there are people that I think only do it on that day or whatever. I would also I guess this is me alleviating anybody who feels the stress of like, Happy National Sons Day. What do I say on the post? Like, do I have a good photo? Like, what do I do? I guess what I'm saying is like, I already know you love your kids. I think you love your kids whether you post or not. And so if that helps alleviate the stress of it, or it maybe just eases your day because you don't have to think about it, I'm just letting you know I'm with you. I know you love your kids regardless of the Facebook post. That's really my number one.
I think, let me scroll through my text. I might have texted my daughters.
Happy National Daughters Day.
Did you know today's National Daughters Day?
Yes.
And when was it?
I don't know. Well, this is
because now I can't find the
text.
text.
Can I give you this example too? Because it's a Facebook example. I had told you one of the days that I always feel the most, it's a day where I just feel bad, is on my birthday when I go to Facebook, because all these people wish me happy birthday on my Facebook wall, but I never do it on their birthday. Like, I never make the public announcement. However, one of the things that I will do is, if I'm on Facebook, is I will actually send them a private message on Facebook saying, like, hey, just wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
I do that too.
Yes. And so it's the same. I guess, like, I'm not saying I'm right. What I'm saying, though, is, like, when I feel like it's really important, I have always found myself, my first thought is not a public post. My first thought is, do I just send them a Facebook message? Do I send them a text? Do I call? Like, those types of things.
Sunday at 9:03 p.m., I sent both my daughters a text, who are both away at college, and said, apparently today is National Daughters Day. That was at 9:03. At 9:41, one of them texted back, swag, and the other one never responded.
There you go.
So there it is.
So I will say again, who is this day really for? Who is this day really, really for? No. PA polling. Let's dive into this very quickly. We had talked about Fetterman and Oz before. We've talked about Shapiro and Mastriano. Shapiro's pulling away in the polls the further we go along. You have an interesting story about Mastriano. Fetterman Oz has had an interesting 48-hour news cycle, I think is a fair way to put it. 48 hours ago, Fetterman, there were articles coming out, he was 10 points up in the polls, essentially trying to, I don't want to say sell the idea, but there was this concept that Fetterman was pulling away. In the last 24 hours, more polls have been released. There was a Franklin and Marshall one. There was a favorable poll, which instead of who would you vote for, it's just like, do you find them favorable or not? And as those polls continue to come out, the gap between Fetterman and Oz in these polls continues to close. The latest one is on Penn Live from the Franklin and Marshall College, and their poll actually showed that with an error percentage of 5.6 percentage points, the race is considered a statistical dead heat. And that was when they basically added in not only the voting polls, but also the favorable polls and everything else. So depending on if you read an article 48 hours ago or if you read an article today, either Fetterman is way ahead or Fetterman and Oz are basically almost locked in a heat, depending on who shows up to vote.
I was reading about it, about money spent, that the Republicans are nationally are dumping more money in because Oz was getting crushed. There's also the debate of the, I don't want to say that, this happens with MVP voting in sports. When a guy comes out of the gate and you're like, oh, he's the MVP, oh, he's the MVP, and you start talking about it at the midway point of the season, after a while, people get bored with it and they start looking for other answers.
Sure.
So there are people that are like, yeah, they're like, well, let's reconsider, because we are inundated with these ads. So it is interesting. The Mastriano, there are reports surfacing. We found a couple. We can't find great. It was on some Facebook page that now he's going to go on a 40-day hunger strike, heading into that's his.
Yeah. Can you explain that to people really quick? You found it on Facebook.
I saw it on. Was it on my Newsbreak app? It came through on my phone on one of the news apps.
Okay. But then when we tried to verify it, we had a hard time finding. So we're trying to absolutely verify it. However, the original source that you found, it seems legitimate.
It was posted somewhere, and then there's a follow-up with about fasting rules, and he's flailing. He's out of money.
Oh, yes.
He's losing badly, and it's hard to make up ground in politics if you're out of money.
I forget the word that they used in the poll, but essentially his biggest gap in the poll against Shapiro actually isn't the voting polls. It's actually in the favorable polls.
Yes.
he has failed to come off likable, and obviously he wasn't going to be likable to the left, but he has failed to come off likable to a lot of centrists, a lot of moderate Republicans, and so for that reason, he is certainly floundering right now, without a doubt.
So yeah, the Oz Fed. Supposedly, there's going to be a debate. I don't know. There's just so much interesting things about that. It just every time I see it, it seems to me that there are so many fascinating things to see a guy who every time he is interviewed is in a hoodie.
Sure.
I mean, he must sleep in a hoodie. I don't. Every time I see a picture of this guy, he's in a hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, Oz just screams of like rich Hollywood liberal.
Sure.
And if he was on the Democratic, first of all, nobody in Pennsylvania knew what party he was before he ran.
Sure.
Nobody. I think if you would have polled people, they would have said he's Democrat. And if he was a Democrat, the right would hate him.
Yes.
He's everything the right hates.
Totally.
Except now he's saying that he's anti-abortion and he's
sure.
And he's got Trump's backing. So it is just a fascinating.
Oh, the rate.
It is fascinating.
It's so funny you said that about Oz, because I've never said this to you. I feel almost the same way about Fetterman. Like, if you just changed Fetterman's campaign stuff and just slapped like a bunch of red, like right-sided advertising on it, I mean, he looks like a good old Central PA.
Yep.
You know, and like
you're right.
And dressed in a hoodie, and it is someone that the right side would get behind, appearance based, right? And it is. So yeah, it's just a unique race. They almost look like they're standing on the wrong
side of the. Yeah.
It's very, very bizarre. I had said to you a couple weeks ago, and I will toot my own horn. I told a couple of friends and you, I feel like the Fetterman Oz is very Trumpish, where you just had the left just couldn't wrap their head around the idea that he could possibly win. And I think a month or two ago, that's how they felt about Fetterman. Like, there's just no way Oz could win. And yet when you would go to like different pockets of the state and you would listen to people, you just kind of had this thing kind of like Trump could win. Like, this is real. I feel the same way about Oz. Like, I just kind of, and I was telling my Democratic friends, we had this deep conversation a couple of weeks ago. I was like, it feels like Trump to me, where like you guys feel like he just can't possibly win. And yet when I talk to people around little communities, I'm like, I think Oz is going to win. So
I think the part to me that is still is I thought McCormick was going to win the nomination.
Yeah.
And so that's still.
Well, I mean, we talked about it with some of the other races across the country, and we even brought up Mastriano a little bit. The funding from the DCCC of Republican candidates, right? Like far deep right candidates that the Democratic Party has funded because they thought they would be easier to beat. That strategy looks like it's going to pay off with Mastriano. I'd have to look up, because I do remember like when they originally started, there was funding for Oz. Whether they've relented on that or not, I don't know. But in his original campaign, there was funding for him to win from the Democratic Party. And so if Oz wins, it'll be one of those few battle states where the Democratic Party technically funded a Republican candidate that ended up winning that they thought would be easier to beat.
I just think when it gets to the end, because Pennsylvania is so close anyway, when they get to the end, they are just going to pound Roe versus Wade, Roe versus Wade, Roe versus Wade.
Do you feel like they've already done that?
But it's going to ramp again.
You think so?
Like, are you real? You're either voting for women's rights or you're not.
I don't disagree with your sentiment. I think the message gets drowned out. Like every week, the message becomes less and less. There was a number in this Franklin and Marshall poll. They asked Democrats the thing that they were most concerned about heading into it. Crime was up almost 10% for them, which since when did Democrats care about crime? Like in this election, like to your point, it was all Roe v. Wade, abortion rights. Crime is up 10% in their concerns. And then the other one that was up, I wish I could find it here. I'm not going to be able to find it. But the point I'm making is a 10% gain in crime for what you're concerned about, X% gain in another topic, that has to come from somewhere.
Well,
And
I
and
saw
it
a
means,
thing.
and it means that they're not. I think it was just yelled from the mountaintop, and rightfully so. I'm not, not upset anybody that did, but it was screamed from the mountaintop when it first happened, and then it kept going. And I think every week it loses. Like, you just can't keep that momentum. I know it's important for people, but it just can't in an election base. We're just talking about strategy. It just can't keep the momentum.
But
that
we're
it
still
had
6 weeks
2
away,
months ago.
and
I get that.
things will ebb and flow.
You
But
think so?
the one of the things that I read was that Fetterman is weak on crime is having an effect. Even though Fetterman quit his job to go into the crime, it's a very weird connection.
Yeah.
But so that's probably why it is up, because they said, they being whatever article I was reading, was when you ask people before this, like 10% of people said their number one issue was crime.
Okay.
But they think that this is the one having an effect. But I also think that on a national level, because the country knows the value of this, because this isn't just a governor, this is, the Senate and the majority and the minority, and winning this is so. Who's flooding money into Fetterman when he's up 10 points? Now, if he's only up 3 points, or if he's up 5 points, or if it's even closer than that, now, because you've got California money can come support Fetterman, because California care. If you're a California Democrat, you care. So
this would be something. It would be interesting to ask. Like,
it's almost like you rest your starters when you have a big lead, and then if the lead starts to dwindle, now you're going to put your starters back in.
I think it would be interesting to ask, like, a Fitzgerald or someone who works in that industry.
Someone who's smarter than us?
Yes. It would be interesting to ask them at what, like, when the campaign first starts, money is like 90% of what matters. Like, the candidate might be 10%, but if you don't have the funding, it doesn't even matter who you are. I would love to see, like, as you get closer and closer to the election, how much does the money matter anymore? So obviously, as you're getting closer to the day, I'm not saying money doesn't matter, but at some point, like, people start to make up their mind. The message is kind of the message, and how much you splatter that can't mean as much 4 weeks from the election as it does a year from the election.
I know what you mean.
So I would be curious to see.
We got to get Jason on our schedule.
Yeah, so it would be interesting, especially coming up on November.
Because I know he's going to be rather busy, and we should just lock and load him sometime and just
pepper him for an hour with questions.
Just grill him.
I agree.
We'll sit him single chair, light bulb over his head, and just interrogate.
Yes, I agree. You've been dying to talk about this. Tom Hanks. He made a claim that he really has only made 4 pretty good movies. He was talking about the challenges of making cinema, of making movies, and basically said it's so difficult that in his career as an actor, he's only been a part of 4 pretty good movies. Now, I think some of this was kind of just throwing out a number. I don't know if he actually meant 4. I don't know if he'd really thought about it, and 4 just sounded like a good number because it proved his point that it's really difficult to make good movies. However, he did say the number 4. So that started the debate in social media around water coolers. What are the 4 pretty good Tom Hanks movies that Tom Hanks himself is actually referring to?
Okay. My immediate thought is you just pulled a number out of his head.
I agree. However, this is where we are. He picked the number 4, so we're here.
Let me say this, and I've kept this open for 2 days because I keep lots of tabs open on my computer.
Okay.
If you go to Rotten Tomatoes,
okay,
which ranked all of the Tom Hanks movies.
Okay.
Well, here, I don't know what's the best way we should play this. Give me.
Do you want my 4? I have my 4.
Yes, let's give us your 4.
These are the 4 that I think he was referring to.
And let's do this.
Okay.
We'll just count Toy Story as one movie.
So we are counting Toy Story because that's a whole other debate.
It's a fair debate.
Because it's
if
animated,
you want to count
is he counting it or
if
not?
you want to count it, we would only count it as one, not Toy Story.
Let's do this. Let's just answer the question if Toy Story would have made the 4, and we'll say yes or no, and then we'll remove it for the debate.
I think it has to, doesn't
I
it?
think it did too. I had it on here.
I think it does.
Okay, so now, because I picked.
But if people want to disagree with that, I get their argument.
So I picked 5 knowing I might have to throw Toy Story out. So,
okay.
So you and I agree then that if Toy Story is included, yes, it is one of the 4 that he is referring to.
Okay.
Okay. So Toy Story is out because it's animated. So here's the 4 that I think he was
so we
referring
threw
to.
it out, even though we agreed
That's
to
what
keep
I was
it in.
saying. Yes, because we both. It's more fun now because we both know that we agree. If you're counting Toy Story,
Or
it's
you
in.
could say it's more fun, or we could say it's so hard we can't even narrow it to 4. We need 5.
Yes, well, because of Toy Story. Yes.
Okay.
So here's my answer. I think Saving Private Ryan is one of them.
Okay.
And I actually think it's the one he probably, if he himself were like, if they were like, what are the 4, Tom? I think this would be the first movie he would say.
Okay.
I think if you ask Tom Hanks or Ron Howard, this movie pretty much is one of the best 5 movies of all time. And you can't dispute it.
Okay.
Do you agree that Saving Private Ryan is in the top 4?
I think it's in the discussion.
Interesting. Okay. I have Philadelphia.
Okay.
I think given the time and where he was in his career and what it means and the character that he had to play, I think he was referring to Philadelphia when he talks about 4 pretty good movies.
Okay.
I have Castaway, which I think is one that you and I disagree on. I think what he had to do by himself and carry essentially 4/5 of the movie. I mean, 80% of this movie, it is Tom Hanks on an island by himself. I think in his mind, having that weight, that was probably one of the 4. The last one that I had is I have Apollo 13 because I think what it means to like American history, the actual story itself, the problem solving, everything behind it. I think Apollo 13 for him is, and the other thing too, he's a Ron Howard guy. I think he thinks Ron Howard is a genius. And so I think anything that he did with Spielberg or Howard, like he's in on it. So there you go.
Okay, so read yours again, please.
I have Saving Private Ryan,
Okay.
Philadelphia,
Okay.
Castaway, and Apollo 13 as the 4, if you're not including Toy Story because it's animated.
So Forrest Gump didn't even make your top 5.
I don't think he's referring to Forrest Gump.
Okay. I don't know how. Now, okay, well, I have so many things to say because I pulled up a list off Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Of these, and just to give you some,
Yes.
according to Rotten Tomatoes and whatever, and some of these have changed a little bit. Where did I go? Philadelphia, which I agree with you.
So you have Philadelphia.
I would have Philadelphia.
Okay.
It is 23rd of the Tom Hanks movies. Now it has all the Toy Stories. Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the 4. But Philadelphia at 23. It has Philadelphia behind such things as The Green Mile.
Yeah.
Saving Mr. Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Road to Perdition.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. Charlie Wilson's War.
Yeah.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, is better than.
No, I
think
you and I agree. Like, because again, the tricky part about this conversation we're having is we're trying to not pick our favorite 4. We're trying to figure out what the 4 are he's referring to. I find it hard to believe that he's not himself talking about Philadelphia.
I would agree. Saving Private Ryan, according to this, is 10. Saving Private Ryan falls behind Captain Phillips. Or, maybe not. Why is that number 9 now? Because it's 93 to 94.
Are you trying to pick your 4 right now?
Beautiful. No.
Okay.
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Okay. So what are you doing?
I'm just rattling some of these off. How, like, what did I say Forrest Gump was? 28?
Here were the top 5 that didn't make my list were Forrest Gump, The Green Mile, Catch Me If You Can, Captain Phillips, and Salt Lake. Those were the 4 that I had. I almost put down Sleepless in Seattle, but I decided not to.
See, this is how good Tom Hanks is.
Yes.
Let me throw out 2 more.
Okay.
The number 1, according to Rotten Tomatoes, the number 1
Can
Tom
I
Hanks
guess?
movie.
Can
What?
I guess?
Yeah.
You've Got Mail.
No.
You're talking about rating, right?
Behind the 4 Toy Stories. Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that order are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the best Tom Hanks movie that is not a Toy Story, according to Rotten Tomatoes. By the way, Catch Me If You Can is 6.
Catch Me If You Can is incredible.
I like it. I don't know if it's incredible, but
it's
I like it.
It's really good.
So the best movie, according to Rotten Tomatoes, is Big, which is genius.
But do you think he would pick Big?
I don't know.
Talking about
but
Big?
It is genius.
Like, for example, I like The Burbs, But I don't think if he's talking about his 4 pretty good movies, I don't think he's referring to it. And I feel the same way about Big. I don't know if he's referring to that.
Okay. There was another one. Oh, A League of Their Own.
Yeah, but he's not. I didn't count that.
It's a great movie, though.
Yes, but it's not a Tom Hanks. How do I say this?
But how did he word it? I've only done like 4 pretty good movies.
I can't put that ahead of even the 10 I just put there.
League of Their Own, you couldn't? What did you have?
Those?
What'd you have in there?
Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, Toy Story, Apollo 13, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, The Green Mile, Catch Me If You Can, Captain Phillips.
You don't think A League of Their Own is better than Captain Phillips?
Captain Phillips is really good.
It's a little over dramatized when you read of what really happened, but I get it.
You don't read.
Same again? No, I read about what happened. I didn't read a book, but I read the article.
Do you want so these are the 5 that I had that I thought he picked. So these are not necessarily like in the order that I would choose them. Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, Toy Story, Apollo 13, Philadelphia. And the reason I picked 5 is because I figured Toy Story being animated, he might not be referring to that because it's animated. Then I had Forrest Gump, Green Mile, Catch Me If You Can, Captain Phillips, and I had Sully.
Big's better than Sully. Sully was good, but see, these are mine. If I had to go, this is what's hard. If I had to go with 5, Saving Private Ryan, Toy Story, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, and Apollo 13.
Okay, but are you talking about you or are you talking about him?
No, if I'm talking about me, I have Bachelor Party in there. And Bachelor Party, hold on, where is that on the list? It's for some reason it was not as critically acclaimed as it should have been.
This is not at all.
Bachelor Party came in 37.
This is not at all how I thought we would solve this discussion. So
wait, you said The Burbs?
The Burbs.
The Burbs is, according to this, worse than Bachelor Party. 39.
Yeah, but it's culty. People like it. You don't like The Burbs?
The Man with One Red Shoe. Some of these I didn't. Angels and Demons. Larry Grant. He was in Pinocchio?
He just came out recently.
You know, the Da Vinci Code got panned. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, most of them did. So listen, so here's the thing. We both agree.
Bonfire of the Vanities. Never saw it.
Hey, Mark, we both agree on Saving Private Ryan. What are the 4, just for simplicity? I don't know how this got so complicated. What are the 4?
Because it's complicated.
What are the 4 that you think he is referring to?
It has to be Saving Private Ryan. My issue with Saving Private Ryan.
So that's 1, 3 more.
Here's my issue. It's so hard. It's a tough watch. That's why it's.
Yes.
But I get
from the
agreed.
It doesn't take away from the
Philadelphia.
Fact that he's referring to it. Okay.
Forrest Gump has to be there. It has to be your curmudgeon.
Do you think he likes Forrest Gump?
Oh my God, yes.
But
you likes Forrest Gump.
I've never heard Tom Hanks talk about Forrest Gump. Now, I'm young, but I've never heard him talk about it.
Well, I haven't heard Tom Hanks talk about baseball, but I assume he likes it.
I heard him on a podcast talk about Castaway for 30 minutes, and he didn't even mention Forrest Gump.
What was it?
I'm just saying. And we're trying to guess what he's referring to. That's all.
Well, listen, Castaway was challenging to do. I would think Castaway was harder to film, but I don't.
But that's what we're doing here is we're trying to figure out what 4 movies he is talking about.
It ain't Castaway.
Okay, that's fine. So you still only have 3. Saving Private Ryan, Philadelphia, and Forrest Gump. It has taken me 8 minutes.
This is where I'm at.
8 minutes to get you 4
because this is where I'm struggling. I think it's Apollo 13.
Okay.
But then how do we do all this and leave out Toy Story, which kind of changed?
But I think but I think you and I have like a gentleman's agreement that because it is animated, we're just going to set it to the side. That's all.
I mean, I get it, but like.
That's fine. So what you're saying is your Apollo 13 would be out if Toy Story was in, which is fine.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. So we are not that far off. The difference is you have Forrest Gump and I have Castaway. That's really our only difference right now.
And I agree. But when you go back to other ones like Big,
Mm-hmm.
which everyone likes Big. Have you seen it?
Mhm.
Okay. Big is, even though there's the science fiction-ish part of it, it's so much simpler and sweeter than these other movies. So in its kind of,
How
is
hard
it missed out because of the smallness of it?
Well, no,
But
this is what I would say is like, I think for Tom Hanks playing sweet, what was the word you used?
Simple.
Playing simple and sweet is kind of like, isn't that what you get Tom Hanks to do? You get Tom Hanks because you want someone to seem ordinary who is now going to do extraordinary things.
I know, but his quote was, I think his quote, we could find it. I've done about 4 pretty good movies. Which again, we think he's made up because as we go through it, he's made about 34.
I think he just picked the number.
He just picked the number. But would he really? I know the vastness, I know the complexity, I know the emotional draw and the historical relevance of things like Apollo and Saving Private Ryan and the social the social conversation around Philadelphia and all these. But if he's saying, I made pretty good, is he really not talking about Big? Would he say Big isn't right up there, just as far as as movie magic?
Yeah, the problem is what you're describing, I can apply to like 5 other movies too. Like everything you just described, I can apply to The Green Mile, to Catch Me If You Can, like to Apollo 13. Like I can attach
Bachelor Party. Keep going. Bachelor
Party. Yeah. What was the Turner and Hooch?
Turner and
Hooch. Like I can apply that to like a lot of Tom Hanks movies.
I guess. I don't know. It was a fascinating number for him to throw out. He could have thrown out, I've made a dozen good movies, and we could argue.
Yeah.
And which ones don't make the cut.
His exact quote was, I've made a ton of movies, and 4 of them are pretty good, I think. And I'm still amazed at how films come together. From a flicker of an idea to the flickering image on screen, the whole process is a miracle. So I think he made up the number 4, but it has brought up an incredible question. I'm blown away, not that you have Forrest Gump over Castaway. I'm blown away at your dismissal of Castaway.
It's not that.
There is nothing else like Castaway that has been that successful. Can you
opposed to Forrest Gump?
No, you're missing the point. In Forrest Gump, there are supporting actors, there are supporting actresses, there are scene changes, there are like what he did in Castaway doesn't work. There's a reason that you don't make movies like Castaway where you have one person in one place just doing things. It just doesn't work. Like you need other people, and you need problems, and you need for him to be on an island and to only deal with self problems of survival and figure out how to make it relatable and make it work and seem plausible. And he's doing all of this with nobody else to lean on. Again, like there's a reason you don't make movies of someone trying to survive through the desert for 2 hours. Like it's hard. It's really difficult to do it. And let alone to make to arguably almost win movie of the year while doing it. I just think I can't imagine he's not referring to it.
I think it was challenging, but as ridiculous as it was, the volleyball was his co-star.
Totally.
And the volleyball was great.
Guess who came up with that? That wasn't a script thing.
Whoever came up with it. I mean, I get it.
That was a Tom Hanks thing.
Well,
so this is what I'm saying.
But it's not as good. Like, okay, you don't think the acting of playing Forrest Gump was challenging?
I'm not saying it's not challenging. What I'm saying, though, is like you have other things to play off of. Like you have Lieutenant Dan to bounce back and forth off of. Like you have the girlfriend to bounce. Like you have all of these different things to like play off of and like sort out the character. In Castaway, it is just him. And he is trying to, he is making all of this character up by himself. There is no play on words. There is no give and take with another person to lean on. And so, like, when you
it's a one-man show.
Correct. But so when you ask him, like, I think I've made 4 pretty good movies. I just can't imagine that one isn't making it. It doesn't mean that I think the
No,
other ones are
no.
bad. It's just the idea of like the process and what it took to make
But
that movie.
he's not saying like.
Can you real quick?
Go ahead,
You're
go ahead.
also saying Castaway. I'm trying to think how I want to word this. I think you're the way like everyone loves Forrest Gump. The way like
Except you.
No, I don't love it. Everyone loves Forrest
That's
Gump.
what I just said.
The Green Mile. I know. I said I reiterated.
You all know. Let's backtrack.
There are
I
people
said
that-
except you, and you were going to say nah, and then you're like, no, I don't.
There are people who think the Green Mile is like really like touching. You know what I mean? Like emotional. Like there are movies. Yes, there are movies on here that Castaway was unbelievably successful. Okay. So I think you're down. You're like, well, everyone loved Forrest Gump. Everyone loved Castaway.
Nah,
like it wasn't
not
like,
the same way.
No.
It doesn't hold the same place in American appeal.
I think for people who really love movies, I think Castaway is a feat that probably will never be duplicated. It's going to be really hard before you see a movie that's nominated where one person is carrying the movie by himself for 90% of the movie. And not only does it, but does it like unbelievably well.
You don't think Leo carried The Revenant?
No, but he had Tom Hardy. Like there were people.
Well,
in
there
the
were
movie.
other people,
there was a
but
whole
it was
other. There was a whole.
Well, he
other,
had what's her name in the movie? Who was his wife?
Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's in it for like 10% of the movie.
Well, she's in the beginning at the end. Like it was just a guy that got stuck. He's trying to get home. It's a story that's been told a million times. It was a dramatic version of Gilligan's Island, except he was stuck by himself talking to a volleyball.
And
it doesn't.
And it works.
Well, it always works. A guy that's stuck trying to get home, it always works.
It's where we disagree. It's where we disagree is because I would argue it doesn't always work at the level that did.
Well, no,
if
okay.
it always
they
worked,
did it
if
really well.
Worked, you would see it all the
They
time.
did it really well, but they
Yes.
did. It certainly wasn't.
There's a reason
Forrest
when
Gump
they made
was
Jaws.
much more creative of an idea than we're going to crash this guy's plane. He's going to be on
put
an island.
Forrest Gump over there for a second because we are talking about Castaway. I said your list is fine. I don't care that you have Forrest Gump on it. What I'm saying to you is there's a reason, like in Jaws, that there's 3 people on the boat. Like there's a reason why. Like
so the shark could eat one.
Okay, there's a reason why in these like these reef movies where like they're surfing, it's never one surfer. Like it's always there's a reason you always have the buddy, the group, the family, the whatever. I mean, there was none of that in this, and he crushed it.
But the reason there wasn't is because it made the story better that he had to do it by himself. If there had been 2 people on the island, it doesn't work.
I disagree because it has worked before. It's worked in the past. The difference in this is that you had somebody who could actually do it and carry it so that it wasn't a good movie. It was a great movie. And it got nominated and almost won. Like what he pulled off in Castaway, there are very few people that could have done that and made it a good movie, let alone arguably the movie of the year.
Don't get me wrong. I really like Castaway.
I got you wrong.
I really like Castaway.
I don't.
But I think it's. I don't think. His performance is great in Castaway. He didn't win, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think his performance in Castaway.
Say he won? I don't.
No, I was just pointing it out.
Okay.
I don't think his performance in Castaway is any better than Leo's performance in Revenant. And there are a lot of the same.
I disagree.
They're the same.
I don't think it is because like even in the Revenant, DiCaprio's getting chased down. And you see it. Like you see who's chasing him down. And you see like there's none of that in Castaway. He has none of that driving the character. It's all interpersonal. Like it's all it's all can I get off this island or can I do I want to get off the island or don't I? Like it's all interpersonal things that only again like it takes a very special person at the right time in their career to like pull that off at the level that he did, and he did it. And I don't know if we're gonna see something like that.
No, I understand. It's like
if
what is your antagonist?
If Revenant is the closest thing to it, then I think my point is right. I guess is what I'm saying.
That's the first one I could come up with. It's all there's conflict in every movie. Your antagonist is up against conflict, and it's man versus nature, man versus shark, man versus man versus whatever. And he was put on this incredible obstacle of how do I get home?
Yes,
and he's stuck.
I've seen,
and he has no one to talk to. So it's man versus nature and his obstacle. It's almost like a Prison Break movie. He's stuck. And he's got to figure out how to get out, and he has no one to talk to but himself.
If you're the only person in the prison, then yes. Like if it's Shawshank and the only person in the prison is him, then sure. But fortunately, for most directors and actors, when you do a prison break movie, you have other prisoners and there's a yard and you get to have conversations and you get to. And in Castaway, there's none of that, and it worked. And it's just, again, I just don't. I think for him to leave it out, I can't imagine a world where he's sitting in his deathbed and someone says to him, "Hey, I got to know, what were the 4 movies?" I just can't imagine that Castaway isn't one of them that comes out of his mouth.
Which one does?
I just can't. I think
So here's what, this is the point I'm making in the whole roundabout way. You think he would leave out Forrest Gump?
I think my choice right now would be Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, Philadelphia, and Apollo 13. Now, here's the catch with Philadelphia, because you and I both agree Philadelphia is on this list.
Yes.
Tom Hanks has already come out and said that he doesn't believe he actually should have been in Philadelphia. So, although you and I disagree with that, I am curious, if we're talking about what he thinks his 4 are, does he leave Philadelphia off?
That is a fair point.
Yes. And
his argument that as a straight man he couldn't play a gay man is as stupid as saying, well,
exactly.
What's his name couldn't play Barney Stinson on How I Met Your Mother? Who's Neil Patrick Harris?
Yep.
It's idiotic. Because they make people up all the time.
You're acting.
That'd be like the guy that just played Elvis to be like, well, I can't play the king of rock and roll because I'm not the king of rock and roll. Well, no kidding. That's why you're acting.
Yes.
So, by the way, Elvis on the list. He was in Elvis. He wasn't Elvis, but he was a big part of Elvis. And Elvis is a great movie.
It is. I don't think he would pick it, though.
I don't think he would either.
The hardest
and
part.
I wouldn't pick that one either.
The hardest part about making this list is, like, it isn't my, like, if I was making my list,
Bachelor Party.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Bachelor Party?
Catch Me If You Can's in my top 4.
Have you ever seen Bachelor Party?
No.
You should watch it. It's so much fun.
If I made my list, it's probably Saving Private Ryan. It's probably Castaway, Apollo 13. It's probably Catch Me If You Can. That would be my 4.
Wait, hold on. I was still thinking about him hitting tennis balls over the fence, yelling, "Cleveland wins the pennant."
Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, Apollo 13, and Catch Me If You Can would be my 4. If it was
so, you wouldn't have Philadelphia or Forrest Gump?
Not in my top 4. But again, it's not because I dislike them. It's because, like, I'm picking, someone's got to not make the list.
No, that's why it's an impossible list, and I don't know if you can just come down to 4.
What would be your 4? Your personal.
Without Toy Story, you're saying?
Yes.
Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13. I would not put Saving Private Ryan in because it's a tough watch.
Okay.
And just if I'm like, it's great and all that stuff, it's just.
No, I get it.
I don't know what. I would kind of have to look through the list again because he's made so many good things.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And Bachelor Party would be in consideration.
4B. It would be 4B.
It's in the argument.
Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show.
Are we done already?
That was an hour.
Huh, it flew by.
Thank you guys for watching the last Thursday of the Midday Show 1.7. Very excited for the Midday Show 2.0. Be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news. Here you go. Can I put you on the spot?
On Monday, we're going to talk about Pauly Shore's best 4 movies.
Let's do that. Pauly Shore. Go ahead and let's thank one of our sponsors.
Thanks to the Alexander Family Dealership. That's where my car is being inspected. When you buy a car from Alexander's, you get free inspections. So that's where my car is right now, being inspected at Alexander Subaru on the strip in Montoursville. But thank you to Alexander Family Dealerships for sponsoring us and all the things that they sponsor throughout our community and the communities throughout North Central Pennsylvania, because they are everywhere and they are contributors to lots of causes.
There we go. Thank you guys for watching Midday Show. Be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com. I'm Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina, and we will see you guys tomorrow for the last Friday.